So I think if everyone's settled, we could get started. So once again, my name is Patrick Coletto. I'm a senior account executive with Sony Crackle. Thanks again for having me in, taking the time. Today, I'm going to be walking you through a presentation that not only will provide an overview of Crackle Network, kind of who we are, what we do, but we'll also be touching upon the different changes that are currently going on in the TV landscape and with those changes, the new realities and challenges that exist, and how we're addressing those with our ever-evolving platform. So we'll be highlighting updates not only from a content standpoint, but the product itself, as well as updates around our targeting and measurement capabilities, and kind of what that means and the benefits to advertisers like yourself through any sort of partnership for the back half of the year or into 2016. So before we get into it, I wanted to just show you a quick video. It talks about the power of Sony. So play here. Video plays. So as you can see, I think that it really does a good job summarizing the full breadth of our offering from a Sony Pictures Entertainment standpoint. As you can see when you're looking at the overall umbrella, where we really sit is these two buckets on the far right. So from a direct sales standpoint, we represent Crackle and Crackle Studios. It's our video network, as well as Sony PlayStation. We've had some discussions about PlayStation. I think we are going to set up a separate meeting just to go through ad opportunities on that platform. We roll up into Sony Pictures Television. So that is the studio that's brought hits like Breaking Bad, The Blacklist, The Goldbergs, kind of the list goes on and on. So we actually sit on the lot in Culver City, and we'll talk about kind of the importance of our ability to sort of leverage the studio, its talent, its know-how when it comes to our original programming. Sony Music, Sony Pictures Entertainment. So Sony Music, #1 music label in the world, top talent, obviously Mariah Carey, Beyonce, just to name a few. Sony Pictures Entertainment, the studio that brought you James Bond, American Hustle, Spider-Man. So, from these two perspectives, we work with them more on a one-off basis. It's not something we're typically going to market with opportunities around. That said, if there are interests in kind of music-related opportunities, we have been working more closely with the folks on the music side in terms of original programming or custom shows that we would create on a music platform for a brand. So that's definitely a possibility. Same thing from the theatrical side. Obviously, there's a very heavy freight to pay if you want to align from a marketing standpoint with a big release. We do offer more affordable opportunities when you're talking about kind of ancillary derivative content. So again, more of a case-by-case basis. So in terms of those verticals, I would just say if there's interest, definitely ask the question. We can always, at the very least, connect you to the right people within Sony, or potentially we could flesh out ideas and executions leveraging some of that different IP. So hopefully that gives you guys a sense. I don't know if there's any questions on that. It's pretty self-explanatory. Okay, perfect. So moving on, I think we talked about the TV landscape is changing, right? I've been with Sony Crackle for about a year and a half. I was at Turner Digital for 6 years prior. I moved over in March 2014. And for me, part of the appeal of moving over to a streaming service like Crackle was it was evident that change was coming, right? But the interesting thing is, at that time, either from a consumer perspective or from an advertising perspective, there really wasn't a lot of talk about it, right? Like you knew streaming services existed, but it seemed like a lot of people didn't use them very often. Connected TV devices like Roku, Apple TV, people were aware of them, but it was always, a lot of times we'd have questions that come up about it. And then same thing from an advertiser perspective. It wasn't something you read about regularly in the trades. Well, it's changed significantly in the last, I'd say, 12 to 14 months, as evidenced by some of the stats that we'll show you. First would be 40% of homes use subscription-based VOD services. So again, a huge change. I mean, 40% is a large number. 13% of homes actually have 2 or more subscription-based services for streaming. So again, I think in a very short period of time, from a consumer standpoint, you're seeing usage go like this. The second stat I would say is that when you're talking about all the chatter about cord cutters, cord shavers, 62% of cord cutters replaced with connected TV. So again, the expansion of video consumption, long form video consumption onto connected TV platforms has increased significantly. Now, I would say that is definitely one of the first kind of seismic changes we've seen in the marketplace. I think the second one is that from on the supply side is for the first time now you're seeing networks going direct to consumers with standalone over-the-top apps. So HBO being one of the first ones to do it, Showtime following suit. I just read an article today talking about ESPN is open to that kind of product and that offering in the very near future. So again, those are big changes that have happened in a very short period of time. I'd said that because of that, the one challenge that's popped up is as you guys are trying to kind of address this shift in consumption habits away from traditional TV, the problem is, as you can see, the numbers I'm quoting was subscription-based VOD, right? So a lot of these services, the Netflix of the world, are subscription-based, which means they are not ad-supported, which means there are environments where these consumers are going, you can't reach them with your messaging. So these are sort of some of the new realities and challenges that we're seeing in the marketplace, and I think really play to the strengths of what Crackle's offering is. So diving into to Crackle, right? So what is Crackle? We're the number one freely accessible premium video network. It's 100% long form. It's 100% premium, meaning it's only Hollywood produced movies, TV shows, and Crackle originals. So again, going back, it's all free across all platforms, desktop, mobile, connected TV. So whereas some of these subscription bases have either no ads or limited ads, we have ads across all of our platforms. So I think that in itself obviously is a differentiator between us and kind of the competitive set. When you're talking about other strengths of Crackle, we reach almost about 30 million uniques per month. We're a very sticky site, so as you can see, up to 327 minutes per visitor. Our monthly streams are hovering around 200 million streams per month. Our performance metrics are through the roof. As you can see, we talk about ad completion rates at 95% for connected TV. It's even higher than that. When we look at click-through rates or brand studies that we do, again, constantly beating industry benchmarks significantly, actually, in terms of performance. So this is really kind of looking at kind of a snapshot of Crackle and kind of who we are. Now, when you talk about another one of our strengths is distribution, right? So we talked about the shift in consumption habits and where sort of long-form video is moving toward. When I came to Crackle, so again, 15 months ago, roughly, we would probably see our consumption broken down between these three platforms as a third, right? It would be split pretty evenly across online, mobile, and connected TV. That has shifted already over the past year, where a majority of that is in mobile and connected TV, and clearly where it's going is that top bucket. And I think, again, this plays to one of our strengths, and one of the reasons, to be honest, why I came over to Crackle is I was amazed at how far advanced they were in terms of this distribution footprint. A lot of the other big media companies are really, frankly, are playing catch up with folks like ourselves, and it's kind of we knew where this, where consumption was going, and we were ahead of the marketplace. So as you can see, we're on over about 30 different platforms and devices, and so much of the fact, I think, our strength on that top bucket is when you talk about the penetration of Chromecast or Apple TV or Roku. For instance, Roku is in 7 million homes. That's about the penetration. We're on half the controllers of those. So over 3 million controllers, the buttons are Pandora, Netflix, and Crackle. So again, I think that's where our brand has really had huge organic growth, and kind of we have a sort of a built-in sort of consumer know-how of Crackle being a platform that lives on these different devices. So moving on to our audience. Who is the Crackle audience, right? So from a demo perspective, as you can see, we skew slightly male. From a composition standpoint, we're 70% adults 18 to 49, a median age 28. But when you look at it, identifying it kind of psychographically, we identify our audience as rechargers. So what does that mean? Well, They're young, they're affluent, they're college-educated adults. And really, what this means is they live very busy lives, right? And they use entertainment and entertainment products like Crackle as a way to recharge, right? From a busy workday, a busy social schedule. And they love the freedom of choice that a product like Crackle gives them, right? A choice in terms of content, a choice of when they consume that content, and in terms of where they consume that content. Now, when talking about program, as I mentioned, we're 100% long form, we're 100% premium. And defining premium, again, Hollywood produced TV shows, movies, and originals. Now, when talking about our overall offering, typically people assume that it's sort of just repurposed Sony content that we put on sort of a digital platform. That's definitely not the case. We actually 65% of our content is licensed from other major studios like Lionsgate, NBC, Paramount, Warner Brothers, and so forth. So not only are we investing in our own original content, but we're spending significant dollars to secure best-in-class talent from other major studios. And when really looking at the overall kind of catalog of our programming, I would put us up there with every TV network there is, right? It's on par in terms of quality and quantity with the FX, with the TNT, with an AMC. So we talked a little bit about the distribution footprint. We talked about our content. Let's talk a little bit about our product. So we've redeveloped our brand experience, what we're calling Always On. In a really simple way, and I'm going to show you a quick demo video to demonstrate it, is taking the best of linear TV and marrying it with the best of digital. And so I'm going to play you a quick video, a demo that will walk you through the new experience. And we'll see right here. So as you can see when you launch the app, basically it's live programming as soon as you turn it on. So it enters into a program. Now this could be something where maybe you stopped in the middle of Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee, and it opens there. Maybe it opens in an iconic movie or a scene in a movie, like an iconic scene in Step Brothers, something that will draw you in. And I think the beauty of this is it brings that sort of leaned back experience that TV brings, right? So we talk about entertainment being an escape, right? You have a busy day, you come back, you're recharging, you flip on, there's content being programmed and pushed to you, right? But at the same time, it gives you the flexibility, and as you can see in the demo, as you browse, as you search, as you scroll, the TV content still stays on in the background. It's always on, but you still have that kind of freedom of choice that digital brings to the table. So this is really groundbreaking. I mean, I think if you think about it from most streaming services, or pretty much all streaming services up to this point, it's been a very lean-in experience, meaning you go into the app, it's a repository of content, and then you have to go out and seek out what you want to watch. Whereas this, again, has the feel of TV, but also brings the benefits of digital. So it was actually, I got to see this when it was demoed out in Culver City back in December. I thought it was amazing. Then we're actually rolling it out on our various connected TV platforms. Now I have a Roku at home that I watch Crackle on, and was actually using this past week, and it's an amazing experience. And I actually think you'll see this not only from a Crackle standpoint, obviously, but I think you're going to see this change across probably multiple services across the marketplace as we move forward. So getting into, we've talked about distribution, we've talked about content, we've talked about an update to our product. So let's talk about what are the advertising solutions that we can offer to folks like yourself. So I think another interesting thing for me, and coming from a big TV company, being at Turner, was when a lot of the discussion going on a couple years ago, when you're talking about digital, the rise of digital and the rise of kind of digital video, it seemed to be like shaping up to be this sort of epic battle, TV versus digital, as though only one person was going to emerge as the winner. And I think that thinking has definitely dramatically changed. That conversation has changed, and I think it's really not an either or anymore. I think it's about how each can complement each other, right? And it varies from consumer to consumer. Some people are going to be a cord never or a cord shaver, or a cord cutter, or people still, there is a place still obviously for linear TV, and I think that's how we view Crackle, right? We're not saying don't buy TV. You're going to keep buying TV. We're saying we're an ultimate complement to TV from a consumer standpoint and from a buying standpoint in your media mix. I think what we offer is a valuable new audience, that a groundbreaking TV-like experience that we talked about with benefits of digital, and ad solutions that you can't find anywhere else and that you definitely cannot find from a TV standpoint. So I think as we continue to demonstrate, we try to be thought leaders and first to market with our products, meaning we're rolling out things that we feel address the challenges that exist, right, and getting ahead of the game. So one of the first things we announced at our previous upfront was a partnership with ComScore. So at that time, connected TV, while I think an emerging and interesting platform, it was sort of opaque in terms of when you're talking about audience measurement and just kind of digital measurement that came with, typically with desktop and mobile. So at that time, we announced a groundbreaking partnership with ComScore, where we were now third-party verified in terms of our audience across all screens, including connected TV. So it was a first of its kind. Well, coming into this year's upfront, we announced a partnership with Adobe, launching our audience management platform with Adobe, where essentially we're bringing the solutions 100% addressable, targeted media across all platforms. So what that means with the DMP is we'll be able to leverage various data sets to target across all screens and across all of our content. So to me, this is sort of, I remember reading kind of the trade that would talk about sort of the CMO dream, right? And talking about TV. To be able to have ads around top quality, premium, long form content, but to serve those ads in a way that we know it's 100% reaching the consumer you want to reach. And that's what we're living in today, and this is kind of the realization of that. So from a targeting standpoint, we can leverage first-party reg data. So we have been force registering our users across all platforms, and we'll continue to do so. And as we ramp this up, we'll be able to leverage first-party reg data where we can demo target across all of Crackle. Additionally, we can leverage second-party data, so your consumer data, pump that through the system and reach your users and your target segments across all of our platforms. And then the last part is third-party. So we're talking about Experian, Axiom, other third-party data sources that we can leverage both from a demo and behavioral standpoint to target your user. So to me, it's again, it keeps kind of how we identify how we're going to win. So I think we talked again, the distribution, the content, the product, and then this is kind of the next layer that we've introduced is the targeting. And obviously, as you can see, it can be very, very granular, and you're able to target in this fashion across all long-form premium content. Again, I think those are, it's the mixture of all of these that make it really, really powerful. Some other things just to talk about from audience targeting and measurement standpoint that are not here on the slide. We are doing deals with OCR and VCE. Currently, we do audience buys on desktop and mobile. This is now extending onto connected TV, so you'll be able to do audience buys across all platforms, which is great. And then another thing is we just made an announcement, a partnership with Moat and addressing viewability. Now, viewability, I would say, is the biggest hot button in the marketplace currently, dealing with kind of fraud and fraudulent traffic. For us, it's really not an issue. All of our content is above the fold, the user initiated. Additionally, MRC credits any in-app environment as being 100% viewable, which, as you saw in that distribution bucket, a majority of our consumption is in mobile app and on connected devices. So in theory, we are viewable. We meet kind of the industry standards. That said, we're going the step further in a partnership with third-party Moat, and we'll be able to provide viewability metrics pretty much as of this quarter. And then we'll be open to probably transacting on that later in the year. So again, I think us demonstrating the ability to meet the market demands and meet those challenges. So the next slide, as I talked about, we're not an either or solution to TV. We look at ourselves as a complement to TV, and as you can see in the slide here, looking at some of the different major networks like a TNT, a TBS, an AMC, we provide incremental reach, right? So again, keep spending the money that you're spending on TV, but take some of those dollars that you're spending on additional frequency, shave that off, and apply that to Crackle. And we're going to provide significant incremental reach. And I think from an investment standpoint, and making your dollars go further, if you really look at it as taking a small fraction of your TV budgets, those go a long way when you're talking about what you're getting on Crackle. So from a reach, not only from a reach standpoint, but also all the other things that we've talked about thus far in terms of targeting and measurement, as well as the premium content that you're running along, and then we'll talk about in terms of custom ad solutions that we can offer. So now the fun stuff, talking about Crackle Originals. So going back to that first slide and us rolling up into Sony Pictures Television and kind of the significance of that. Well, we're in a very unique spot in the marketplace in that we're both the studio and the distribution, right? And kind of what does that mean to folks like yourselves? Well, the beauty of it is I think it really opens up ample amount of opportunity, not only when you're partnering with our original programming just from a media standpoint, but also to do the fun stuff, right? To do product integrations, storyline integrations, ancillary content tied to this various IP and talent. And because we are the studio and distribution, it brings a lot of flexibility. I think most of the feedback we get from our agency partners, from clients like yourselves, is that, yeah, that's great. We want to do that. The integrations are the fun part. It's just really tough from a timing budget standpoint to get our ducks in a row and to do those types of things. I think for us, there's just not a lot of red tape. So we can do things where we get you involved very early in the production process, or we can do stuff even after in post-production where we're getting the cast back to reshoot, or we're digitally inserting signage or branding after the fact. So it really, we make it very easy. We make it very seamless in terms of an execution, on the execution side. And then I think from a concepting and ideation standpoint, we always like to use the term wet cement, right? So meaning it's true collaboration. There's really nothing off limits, and what we can do is we actually have the ability, if you have an idea by aligning with one of our originals, we can reach out to the writers, producers, and directors of the show, because we're the studio, and have that discussion. And we have, when I'm talking about access, and we'll talk about a little bit more of our originals, so much to the fact that we can contact the producers, and they'll get on, and the directors, and get on conference calls with us, and they'll get on brainstorms with us, and they'll get involved in the storyboarding process. So it truly is, it gives you access and the ability to work hand in hand with the talent. And I think, when we're able to do it, we're able to do some pretty great executions. So I'm going to show you a quick sizzle reel that speaks to kind of our past work in the space and in terms of some of the different product integration executions that we've done. So the video plays. And again, here are some of the storyboards. But again, as I talked about, is that there's ample opportunity. We have a lot of flexibility, whether it's as simple just product placement to a custom storyline to derivative spin-off content tied to the show. We can do it all. We have all the ability from a branded content standpoint. And again, as I mentioned, it's wet cement, so we have a lot of flexibility in terms of timing and execution, and in terms of the different type of ideas and concepts that we try to work in with the shows themselves. So, does anyone have any questions? Okay. So, for the sake of time, and I think in terms of what's relevant, instead of going through the whole original slate, I'm going to send that to you guys in a digital copy later today. So it will have all the one-shooters on each of the shows, as well as sizzle reels, and if anything pops for you, we can go into that further. But in terms of timing, I wanted to show you three originals that are definitely very relevant in terms of timing. They're all either premiering or airing new episodes in the back half of this year. So if there is interest, we do have the ability to do things like integration ancillary content, those types of things around these programs. So the first one is The Art of War. This is going to be the biggest production to date for Crackle. It is our House of Cards. It is a huge, big budget production, huge, big name talent. As you can see, when you're talking from some of the actors that are involved, Dennis Quaid, Kate Bosworth. When you're talking about the producers who've worked on shows like The Practice and Law and Order, movies like Jerry Maguire, As Good as It Gets. So big name talent, big name production, a little bit of the storyline, and then I'll show you the sizzle, which I think really brings it to life. But it's a 10 episode, 1 hour episodes actually, dramatic thriller. It's based around a main character, Graham Connor, who is a blue collar ex-soldier turned auction house exec, right? So it's really about he had, as an ex-soldier, is able to leverage some of his contacts from that kind of in the world of antiquities and smuggling, and has kind of fast-tracked his career in the world of New York City auction houses, and then plays kind of the storyline of this dangerous double life of his past and his current new life in this new world. So I'll play you a quick video. This is actually shot from the production in Montreal, which is actually wrapping in August. So as of today, we still have opportunities around the show. We can do integrations. We can come back and do reshoots. And then even after the fact, we can do stuff, like I said, custom vignettes tied to the series, custom tag tune-ins tied to it. So we haven't missed any windows on this. So I'll show you the video. Okay, so switching gears, definitely dramatically switching gears from from The Art of War is Super Mansion. So this is a comedy genre. It's stop animation. It comes from the folks from Robot Chicken, which is on Adult Swim. If you guys are familiar, it's stop animation. And really, it's tied to a group of superheroes, the League of Freedom, who've been around for 50 or so years. They're government supported, and they're led by the main character, Titanium Rex, who is voiced by Emmy Award winner Bryan Cranston. And really, it's them kind of dealing with the realities of current day. They live in this mansion, Bryan Cranston being kind of the old guard that's still around, and he's dealing with his new generation of superheroes who are instead brought up on fame and fortune instead of truth and justice, which leads to a lot of humorous interaction and kind of them fighting to stay relevant in today's world. We'll show you an example of that sizzle. So I'll play that now. Okay. So as you can see, it's very irreverent, definitely very edgy. It's going to be a huge success. It's something Seth is very passionate about, and that's when I was talking about access. We've brainstormed and concepted with Seth Green for clients. Him and his team, they love to get involved. They love clients who are open to kind of pushing the envelope. So when I'm talking about access to talent, I'm talking access to folks like Seth. So I think that in itself is pretty unique. And then the last show I'll leave you with is Sports Jeopardy. So it's kind of self-explanatory. You're basically taking one of the most successful TV franchises of all time, marrying it up with sports trivia, and then throwing in one of the most successful sports TV personalities of all time, Dan Patrick, and there you have it, Sports Jeopardy. So this is actually coming back for season 2. It runs 52 weeks a year, so we run one new episode per week. And we're going through kind of a tinkering of the format for this year. We're going to make it more of a bracket style where there'll be a winner for every season, and there'll be a new season every 13 weeks. So we think that will help kind of drive even more buzz and make it even kind of more competitive. But again, I think you're really, this is kind of a perfect example of showing us leveraging the power of Sony as a whole. So the ability to tie into franchises as successful as Jeopardy and leverage that IP, and then creating a fresh spin that really appeals to our target audience on Crackle. We're going through shooting new episodes here in August, so there is opportunity to actually do a physical product integration. Additionally, there's a lot of opportunity that is very easy from an execution standpoint, quick turnarounds, in terms of signage, digital signage, and insertion into the shows themselves. Also, the ability to create kind of branded content that you guys could own, that you can utilize on your own sites or through your own paid media, or that we obviously can integrate through the show or leverage on different parts of Crackle to promote your association as a sponsor. So I'll show you a quick sizzle from season 1. And as I showed too, I just want to call out the fact that, as I mentioned, it's been a huge success. Not ignoring the numbers, we did over 10 million video streams in the first year, over 120 million minutes spent on the show. So again, when people do watch, they come back often and they watch in long periods of time. So it's definitely very engaging content. So the last part, I just kind of in summary, and we talked about sort of what we represent from a Crackle standpoint. PlayStation, which we definitely want to get back in here to meet with you guys to talk about not only our native ad solutions, but a lot of the stuff that we're doing on original content specifically for the PlayStation platform. And then the last thing that we don't want to dive in too much today, but again, I think we talked about setting up a separate meeting, is talking about PlayStation Vue. It's our new cloud-based live TV subscription service. So essentially, we're becoming a cable operator, an MSO. We went out and did distribution with all the major networks. So essentially, someone can cut their cable subscription, they keep their Wi-Fi, and they can subscribe to a live TV experience via PlayStation Vue. So again, we talked about that landscape changing fast, and we're a part of it across a number of different platforms. We're actually going to be selling the local avails, which will be the national TV loads are still sold by those same networks, but right now we're in 5 markets. We're in Philly, New York, Chicago, San Francisco, and LA, but we'll eventually roll out to the top 20 DMAs, have a national footprint. But again, another thing that we can talk about at a later time. So that's about it. I don't know if you guys have any other questions. I appreciate you taking the time. I think kind of in summary, from a Crackle standpoint, as we mentioned, things are happening. They're happening rapidly. Every day or every week, I feel like I'm reading something new about the changes that are going on, both from an advertising and from a consumer standpoint. But I think we think we're set up for success. We talked about the reasons why, right? We talked about the product change, our commitment to both licensed and original content. We talked about our targeting and measurement capabilities with partnerships with Adobe as well as with Moat. And then the fact that we are a studio and a distribution, that we bring unique opportunities in terms of integration and kind of custom executions around original content. So hopefully that gives you guys a better understanding of who we are, what we do, and yeah, we look forward to talking specifics for 2015. Definitely think there could be some opportunities around Q3, Q4, and then go from there and expanding our partnership into next year. So thanks again, and appreciate the time.